Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining us today on our fourth and final webinar with regards to sorting the problems including time, information and money. If you haven't been able to make any of the previous three, we've got our contact details are at the end, so please feel free just to get in touch and we'll happily arrange a one-to-one call or we can get you access to those. So first of all, let's consider time. It's one of these things on a day-to-day basis whereby they just, and I said this in the very first webinar, there just simply isn't enough of it, even though we've all got the same amount of time in our working days. But there's so much paperwork we're going through, things we've got to sign off, with technology being around us. Days just escape us like we don't know what. But you see, what can we do about that in terms of the time? Well, let's just recap in terms of what we've covered off with regards to these webinars to date. Well, from an expense perspective, all of a sudden the manual data entry, it's gone. Don't have to worry about that anymore. Via a mobile phone, scanning some documents, forwarding emails on, or linking online accounts just means from the expenses side of things in any day-to-day business, it is sorted so very quickly, the information extracted, and then that goes straight in through to an accounting system. Now within that same accounting system, you've also got the income side of things from which you can raise an invoice on the go, on your mobile, or on a desktop, or several different people can raise invoices at the same time for different customers. All done very quickly, very slickly, and you can oversee that at any point in time as well. Now alongside all of that, from a bank perspective, your bank feed. That is just fed straight into your accounting system. The appropriate transactions, be it income or expenditure, can automatically be matched as well. So all of a sudden there now you start building, you start feeling where you think, wow, those weekends when I had to do this, I no longer have to do it. Those night times when I've been at work all day long and I've had to come in and do this, I no longer have to do this. Typically for clients of ours, we tend to find about a third of the time previously taken managing paperwork generally tends to just disappear when this system is set up and operated correctly with any business. And that can even be greater than a third, depending on the specifics around that. So I think it's fair to say time tick insofar as the first concern we mentioned in the very first webinar. Let's have a think about information. So you might be thinking, what's this picture got to do with information? Well, honestly, that's how you're going to feel. Once all of this comes together, you could be on a beach accessing that information. See the subtle reference I kind of got through there. But also off the back of all of this, information as such can be accessed anywhere, anytime, also on a beach. Now let's just take a bit of a step back here. So we've said about the time saving, but let's have a think about what this information enables you to do. So this information all of a sudden, because of the accuracy and the timeliness of it, because as I say, it's no longer a once a year job, it's no longer done 6 to 9 months after your accounting year end, it can be done as frequently as you wish. You then have the opportunity to do better cash flow modelling. So wouldn't you like to know what money you have access to and when? Factoring in money still owed in, factoring in money still owed out, and also being able to predict when that money is likely to come in and when you need to pay that money out. You could also try and flex that a little bit to see what variations there are within that and model it better to better manage your cash flow. You could even, let's say, build in scenarios to plan ahead to avoid cash flow problems in the future or better manage them with better information to hand rather than have to deal with it there and then when there's fewer options and less time to do so. Now, aside from that, you've also got the collection of debts, and I touched upon this in the previous webinar, whereby you have better information to hand, better systems to hand, which in turn means less time needing to spend chasing those, better information used to chase those, and everything done on a more prompt basis, which should in turn improve your cash flow. Now, aside from this, and let's say combining the two really, overall, you just have better management data, which enables you to make better decisions without having to have a finance team around you, without having to invest tens of thousands of pounds or anything like that. You simply don't need any of that. It's so much closer to you that you can make so many differences and generate so many benefits from you within your business. And from that time saved, you can choose to spend that more wisely, maybe even on a beach. Now, one of my most favourite films is Jerry Maguire. I'm not going to do any impressions here, and I haven't even got a picture up there, but I'm sure people have heard that expression, show me the money. But aside from the monetary side of things, let's just consider one other thing. What about the space? Now, within our office, we are pretty much a paperless office. We will be completely paperless within the next few weeks, I certainly hope, providing all goes according to plan. But the cost of space and the cost of time, two things, they're not tangible. You don't physically see them or touch them or anything like that, but just think of the time and space savings which you're going to have, which in turn will generate you more money. That's a critical part of this. And going back to the previous slides, you've got better information to make better decisions, which means that the financial implications should too be so much more beneficial. And off the back of that, what more can we say around the monetary side of things in terms of that? So really, it's all of a sudden you've got your time, you've got your information, and you've got your money side of things all ticked in terms of being a step further forward. But this really is just the start, and this is where I'm going to expand a little bit on just 3 bits of software which we use, which can take your business to a further level and several levels beyond that as well. So let's start with managing debt. Now, with regards to managing debt, particularly with smaller businesses here in the UK, it's a struggle. We all know about that. But wouldn't it be nice to have a system in place whereby you knew what was due when? Have notes on the system so anybody could know what was going on with regards to that. Have different levels of severity for chasing that customer, but have it all personalised so it didn't feel like it was coming just from a system, so that you had the same results as if you were physically chasing that yourself personally. Now, you could also further plan ahead when you next deal with that troublesome customer as to whether you want to keep dealing with that customer or how best you overcome things, because sometimes it might be a case of references missing on an invoice which delays payment. But all of a sudden there, by having a bit of software such as, say, for example, Chaser, which we use internally, that could enable you to overcome those difficulties and help ensure that you don't repeat mistakes which you may have otherwise repeated in the past. Now, from a debt perspective, let's just consider the overall improvement of your day-to-day cash flow. Now, let's say, for example, you use some debt software and have a debt system and process in place, which off the back of that, you realise the fact that you're not going to get paid off a customer. Well, by factoring this into a system such as Float, which also we partner up with, you could build that into future projections to say, right, what are the implications of that customer not paying me when they said they were going to pay me? Because the last thing you want to be doing is sat down with your members of staff saying, I can't pay you this month. So off the back of this, you can start predicting and planning and doing things about that. So for example, what you could do is you say, right, okay, well, let's have a look at our cash flow position now, based on what we're planning for, what's going to happen, and based on that up-to-date information, what difference does that have? To the point where you might say, right, well, is there any suppliers I could possibly speak with where I could also delay a payment? Is there any expenditure for which we were previously going to engage with and spend that money, which we could postpone? And also you might just kind of think, okay, right, what impact does that have for future projections? Because all of a sudden there's a bit of a trend developing with this customer, which if we're going to keep working with them, we're going to have to build that into future projections so we don't repeat mistakes we've just made this time in the future. So let's have a look at improving everything. Now, again, on the previous webinar, I touched upon what if scenario, then there's various other bits of analysis. Now, me personally and a lot of our clients engage, see and understand things better visually. Now, by having all of the foundations in place, you could build management reports which are more easily understood, more easily acted upon across various different levels within your business. So off the back of that, by having all that information accurate and having the confidence in it, you could say, right, okay, if I lost a member of staff or that customer, what would the impact be? Hence the what if scenario. In terms of sources of income, you could see how heavily exposed you are to different types of work, customers, etc., etc. Have a look at what your profit margins are like, your revenue per customer, your overdraft, how you're managing against that. Or you can even build in budgets and targets for yourself to measure performance for both the business itself, individuals, and so many different things off the back of that, which even could then lead into notifications coming through on a monthly basis to, again, better influence the business. So all of a sudden you start seeing where the basics in terms of just saving that little bit of time, information and money go up to this sort of level where it's like, wow, I can all of a sudden start achieving the things I first set out to achieve in business. And I always smile because a lot of the time when I first ask a potential client what they would most want from us, they say, save me tax. Well, I certainly don't know about yourself, but I never went into business just to save tax. I had other goals And what I'd refer back and I'd say, well, would not be better off to earn lots of money? Then we could concern ourselves with the tax, put the planning in place in advance of receiving that money to then manage the tax, because surely the tax is not the number one priority. But I say all this together starts improving everything. So what's next? Well, you've ticked the 3 boxes, but wouldn't you like to know more about some of the tools and the doors that are open as a result of this? Because I've only skimmed across those there today. We personally as a firm, you can contact us now at Details at the end if you want to discuss these in any more detail. We also do accountability sessions with clients, which will run alongside systems such as those, which we have just touched upon there today, which help business owners and their members of staff achieve things they never thought possible. So why not get in touch with us to arrange a one-to-one demonstration, and we can actually walk this and personalise this for you personally. Our contact details are on the screen. I'd like to thank you for attending our webinar there today, and if you've got any more questions, queries or anything like that, please don't hesitate to get in touch. Thank you very much.